Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. The focus of this video is the legacy media. We're constantly harping on CNN, MSDNC, the usual suspects. But what you might have not realized is the issue is not just left-wing legacy media. Fox News isn't exactly perfect. I personally don't like any of them. I really like Tucker Carlson, but he's just an editorial guy, an opinion guy, who happens to have a great show on the network. The network as a whole has been really disappointing me quite consistently over the last couple months, and more specifically in peak election season. And the cherry on top is just the way that they treated the debates. The front page of Fox News during the night of the first presidential debate looked almost like Biden's Twitter feed, and then compound that with the way Chris Wallace acted in said debate, they're starting to just lose my trust. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it does. John Roberts is an absolute joke. The Fox News chief White House correspondent starting to sound like Jim Acosta, and he got absolutely ratioed, censured by not only conservatives on Twitter, but more importantly by Kayleigh Mcenany. So once again, we're covering this whole thing of the president hasn't denounced white supremacy, and the fact that Fox News is perpetuating said hoax. They did it during the debates, and now we got John Roberts pushing it to an even further degree. So I gotta update you guys on all of this stuff, but before we do, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video, since that's by far the best thing you can do to support the channel. And check out the Teespring shop where you guys can buy the limited edition 3 Scoops President t-shirt to celebrate 3 scoops, 3 SCOTUS picks, 3 Nobel Peace Prize nominations, and hopefully 2 terms. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so it all starts off with John Roberts melting down. This is what started flying all over conservative circles. Check out the man's absolute meltdown.
And for all of you on Twitter who are hammering me for asking that question, I don't care, because it's a question that needs to be asked, and clearly the president's Republican colleagues a mile away from here are looking for an answer for it too. So stop deflecting, stop blaming the media. I'm tired of it.
All right,
now firstly, look at Melissa Francis's face. She doesn't know what's going on. And you might be confused as well. Why is the man melting down live on Fox News Alert? Well, because he's a monumental fool. He's wondering why he's getting called out on Twitter? Well, John Roberts, it's because you're the chief White House correspondent, and frankly, you don't know what you're talking about, not to mention you're spreading misinformation and claiming that Kayleigh never answered your question when she did maybe like 5 to 10 times in that interaction that you had with her. And you guys want proof that John Roberts is a complete hack? Look at his interaction. Look what he's complaining about. He's complaining about getting censured about this.
Kayleigh, if I could start off, I'd like to ask you for a definitive and declarative statement without ambiguity or deflection. As the person who speaks for the president, does the president denounce white supremacism and groups that espouse it in all their forms?
this has been answered yesterday by the president himself, the day before by the president himself on the debate stage. The president was asked this. He said, sure, 3 times. Yesterday, he was point blank asked, do you denounce white supremacy? And he said, I've always denounced any form of that. I can go back and read for you in August 2019, in one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. In August of 2017, racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups. I have an entire list of these quotes that I can go through with you. He has condemned white supremacy more than any president in modern history.
Just to clear it up this morning, can you, naming it, make a declarative statement that you denounce, that the president denounces it?
I just did. The president has denounced this repeatedly. The president was asked this. You're contriving a storyline and a narrative.
I'm just asking you to put
He
this
said,
to rest.
I just did. I read you all of the quotes, and if you need to see them in writing, I will put them in an email. Paula.
So, Kayleigh, can you right now denounce white supremacy and the groups that espouse it?
I just did. The president has denounced white supremacy, the KKK, and hate groups in all forms. He signed a resolution to that effect. The president just last week, perhaps you all weren't covering it, but just last week expressed his desire to see the KKK prosecuted as domestic terrorists. This president had advocated for the death penalty for a white supremacist, the first federal execution in 17 years. His record on this is unmistakable, and it's shameful that the media refuses refuses to cover it.
Do you see how baffled Kayleigh Mcenany is? She knows exactly who this is. She knows what network he's supposed to represent. And the man's acting like Jim Acosta in the White House press room. She's baffled beyond belief, but she also manages to completely destroy him and the phony outrage narrative that he's perpetuating. I just covered this in a video that I made yesterday. There are over 21 provable clips of the president denouncing white supremacy. Literally a couple days ago, he designated them as a domestic terrorist organization and made lynching a federal hate crime. How much more can he do? He unveiled a $500 billion plan for Black America, yet these phony outrage journalists are jumping on this story like the exact hacks that they are. How are we still talking about what the president said during Charlottesville? How? How has this myth, this hoax, not been debunked in a bipartisan manner, bilaterally across all media outlets, especially Fox News? How is Chris Wallace spreading this information, perpetuating this misinformation during a presidential debate which, 60 million Americans watched? It's because Chris Wallace is not only a hack, but he's wholly unqualified to host a presidential debate, period. It shows the difference between these out-of-touch, misinformed, legacy media hacks who don't know what they're talking about, they just read teleprompters, in respect to independent journalists who bust their behinds getting the facts straight. People like Tim Pool should be moderating these debates, not these ancient fossils of the legacy media who can't even bother to do basic research. Chris Wallace mentioning the Proud Boys during the debate as some sort of white supremacist group? What is he even talking about? A white supremacist group? Now, of course, the Proud Boys, I've said it a million times, aren't necessarily my favorite people on the planet, but this is just flat out slanderous at this point. Look at these two clips that I have of Proud Boys who are Black. How is it a white supremacist organization? Check this out.
I joined the Proud Boys. I looked out and tried to find them for 4 months because I believed in their ideology.
He found us.
And when I found them, they treated me like a brother. All love. We're mixed between all different races, ages, and sexualities.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And sexualities. Yes. We got gay members, Asian, Black, Hispanic, and
Indian.
There's not one Indian. There's not one racist redneck Nazi that I've met.
Find
yet.
him and we'll kick him out.
So, and I've been called more racist redneck Nazis than ever.
I will go out and say that the Proud Boys as a whole, I will say this on behalf of the entire national organization, denounce white supremacy. We are in no way, shape, or form white supremacists. We have a vetting system that just gets those guys out of our hair. We do not have anything to do with white supremacy. We do not have anything to do with the Ku Klux Klan. We denounce those organizations.
The Proud Boys are a more diverse organization than Antifa and the DNC. Give me a break. The core of their leadership, they're all Latino. In fact, they're very heavily tied with Latinos for Trump in states like Florida. Yet we have these media talking heads, these liberal elite, and these Twitterati folk spreading misinformation in such a despicably slanderous way. The Joe Biden campaign just recently on Twitter claimed that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist. Based on what evidence? You may disagree with what Kyle did, but to claim that he's a white supremacist is just completely unhinged. And funnily enough, Kyle Rittenhouse to sue Joe Biden for linking Kenosha shooter to white supremacy in a tweet. And you know what? Good. And I find it so funny how the legacy media is so quick to jump on anything related to white supremacy, linking groups that have absolutely no connection. Pretty much anything conservative at this point is fascist, white supremacist, blah, 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 blah. Without proof, you can just launch these claims left, right, and center, and it just doesn't even matter. There's almost never any scrutiny or backlash to any of these claims that are made by these hacks in the mainstream. Yet Antifa, who at this point are like provable terrorists, political ends by violence as a mean, that's the definition of terrorism. They are the boogeyman that the left tries to paint the opposing side as. And Joe Biden says, oh, Antifa is just an idea, man. Come on, man. And nobody bats an eye. Not to mention how the legacy media has directly misinformed and run defense for Antifa for months. And Herschel Walker has had enough. Listen to what he had to say.
Well, I'm at it again, but I want to apologize to the American people again because the Proud Boys I've never heard of. So I was confused why Chris Wallace would ask the president about the Proud Boys because I never seen the Proud Boys break in the windows, assault any police officer, kill anyone. Never seen them destroy a business, try to intimidate anyone, destroy a restaurant. But I have seen BLM and Antifa do that. And he didn't ask the vice president that question, which is interesting because he said that it is an idea. Well, what's interesting about that idea is his running mate, Senator Harris, created a website to collect money to bail his idea out of jail. Well, that's interesting that he didn't ask them about that. Just a question I'd like to know the answer to.
Absolutely succinct. When you bail a, quote, idea out of jail, do you do it with Monopoly money? Give me a break. These people are a joke. The double standard is absolutely clear. Fox News is just as guilty, and all these outlets, all these networks, all they do is muddy the water, misinform, slander, and just paint a picture and just create a fantasy that riles up the left into a frenzy. The left can do no wrong. Meanwhile, everyone on the right is compared to some soldier from the 1940s in Germany. It's an absolute farce. But the biggest farce of this video is definitely John Roberts. Take responsibility for your complete lack of information on this topic. You're getting censored on Twitter for a reason. It's because you don't know what you're talking about. And stop melting down on Fox News, making yourself look like an absolute petulant child who can't take responsibility for his actions and the words that come out of his mouth. That's what I got for you guys. Every single video I'm making today, I'm just ranting, so sorry about that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But if you did, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video, since that's by far the best thing you can do to support the channel. And go check out the Teespring shop and pick out an item from the 3 Scoops President Gear set. It's a great way to support the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy the designs. Of course, we got more on the way. Now it's time for me to get back to work. We got a whole bunch of hypocrisy that needs to be exposed, so I'm gonna get to that. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.